So I've been talking about this for a while now, and this is something that I do want to express, something I do want to bring up, and I haven't made a video talking about this concept specifically yet and directly yet, so I think it is about time that I do. So this video is about the Gentleman-Gigolo complex. My issue with the female dating strategies mindset, right? So I'm gonna break it down. I saw this post on Reddit, and within this post on Reddit, it was a perfect example of how female dating strategies go wrong, and it's a perfect example of what the Gentleman-Gigolo complex is. So there's this post on our relationships subreddit, and a guy posted and said, "I'm not sure if my girlfriend, female 23, and I, male 23, share the same values towards sex." So it says, "My girlfriend and I have dated for 6 months now. We had matched on Tinder and had a really nice conversation. I was genuinely interested in her, and I hadn't made any sexual comments on Tinder with her. We started going out on dates, and she made it clear that she didn't want to sleep with me on the first couple of dates and that she wasn't looking for hookups. I had no issues at all with that because I was more interested in getting to know her. In fact, I liked that she had high standards on how she wants a guy to respect her. After a month on going out on dates, I asked her to be my girlfriend, and we've been together for the past 6 months. Recently, she told me that when she was on Tinder last summer, she had certain rules on her matches. So obviously, if she matched with a guy, it was because she found him attractive. She said that if the guy acted like a dick, she would treat him like a dick and only see him as a fuckboy and hook up with him right away. If the sex was good, she may see him again. However, if the guy wasn't a dick and actually respectful, she would see him as potential serious partner date. For that reason, she would want to switch to the next one. For that reason, she would want him to hold off on sex until things got serious with him. In that summer alone, she hooked up with 9 fuckboys, and I was only the second guy she actually dated that summer. The first one didn't get serious. On top of that, she had told me that she had been sleeping with one fuckboy during the month we were going out on dates before becoming official. She even told me that she'd tell the guy, 'Hey, sorry, can't meet up tonight. Got a date with this really sweet guy.' The moment that she and I became official, she cut things off with that guy. This changes my perspective of her a little bit. I always thought she was the type of girl that would condemn men that acted like dicks, but she decided to fuck them instead. In fairness, that was her past, so I shouldn't have anything to say about that, but what really bothers me was that she was hooking up with the fuckboy before we got serious. I'd take her out on a nice date hoping I could impress her and make a good impression, then drop her off home and be on my way smiling while she would then hit up her fuckboy. Am I wrong for feeling this way about it?" So this is the Gentleman-Gigolo complex, right? Many people talk about how men have Madonna-Whore complexes, but women have them as well, right? Women have them as well, and that's what I call the Gentleman-Gigolo complex. Now, what many women believe when it comes to female dating strategies and their mindset towards dating and relationships is to view a man being sexual or quote-unquote toxic as someone that she already believes that it's not going to turn into a relationship. The dude is upfront about his sexual intentions, so if she's sexually attracted to him, she'll follow through with it. But a man who is taking her serious, or a man who is showing that he's interested in her, that's a man who she will make wait and deny his sexual advances, reject his sexual advances in order to make him prove himself before he has sex with her in case it becomes a relationship. Giving a man the impression that she is quote unquote not that type of girl, is not into hookups, and that she is the type of woman who has high standards about who she has sex with, to create this image in a man's mind that she's dealing with, so that they can build a genuine connection outside of sex, and then eventually end up in a relationship that is based on an emotional connection, while she actively has sex with men who she is purely sexually attracted to. Many women see this style of dating as acceptable, but I'm telling you right now, for most men, if they find out, they're going to have an issue with it. I'm saying it right now. Most men. Now, me personally, I understand this aspect of the Gentleman-Gigolo complex. And in my mind, I do not see being open and honest and upfront about my sexual intentions as disrespectful. If a woman feels that way, we're not compatible for anything but sex. I'll have sex with her, and if she feels that way, cool. That's all it'll ever be. Now, a lot of men they have this mindset where they put themselves in a box with a woman, and they often get friend zoned or put into a relationship and get into a relationship with a woman who is not sexually submissive with them. Right? This is something that a lot of men need to understand. They need to stop viewing being upfront about your sexual intentions as being disrespectful, because that does not mean that she's not having sex with the men who are. So basically, she was using him, right? And yes, you want to say she built a true connection with him or whatever it is, but it wasn't true because she wasn't honest about how she was moving while she was moving that way. She wasn't saying, listen, I want to wait with you, but I am actively sleeping with other men because I want to build a connection with you first. Because you understand that if you say that to someone, they're going to take that idea that they have in their mind about who you are as a person and your standards as you pretty much punishing them for giving a fuck. Right? Now me, I'm gonna be honest with you. Most of the women that I had sex with on Tinder, most of the women who I had sex with on Facebook dating or whatever apps I was on were women who had no hookups in their bio. I still fucked them the first time I met them. Right? Now, I'm a guy who's more so upfront about my sexual intentions. I'm not concerned with how a woman feels about what I have to say because I put what I want first. Right? Now, that doesn't mean that if I have sex with a woman the first day that I meet her, that I'm going to instantly disqualify her from possibly being my woman. My mindset is a woman has to be my hoe before she ever has a chance of being my housewife, right? And that's more so a matter of, you have to understand this mindset behind it, right? So the Gentleman-Gigolo complex kind of works from a basis of a woman not knowing the difference between a fuckboy and a masculine dominant man. So that means she either wants a feminine submissive man, a masculine submissive man, or a feminine dominant man, all right? Which means that a dude is either going to be just sex, which means that if he's purely sexual and he leads with that, then in order to protect her emotions, she's just going to have sex with the guy and leave it at just that. Now, there is the prospect of sexual overstimulation, to where there may be certain things she experiences in that time that makes it nearly impossible for her to stay consistently faithful to the man that she's with next. She may have cut the guy off at first, but there's no guarantee that when you build that emotional connection before sex, that it's automatically going to make sex better, that it's inherently going to make sex something that she feels that more sexual submissiveness towards him, because she already built up a certain resistance to his sexually advances. She already built up in her mind this idea that if a man was honest about his sexual intentions, that he was a dick, that he was a fuckboy, and that she equates respect to not being sexual. Right? If a woman equates respect to not being sexual, she is not girlfriend material for you. Right? Because that means that her desire didn't override her fear. Her desire didn't override her mindset around comfort. Her desire didn't override her social programming when it comes to what she believes being respected is or being respectful is. Those other guys, they didn't give a fuck. There's certain things she probably did with those other guys that she would not do with you. And what you want to avoid is the type of woman whose mindset is that I'll do this with him because, well, that's just sex. But with you, I care more about you. I like you, so I'm not going to do this with you. That is one of the most subtly disrespectful things a woman can do to a man who she says she cares for and is attracted to and invested in. That is one of the most, it's disrespectful on several levels, but it also is devaluing that man. Now, if you liked him and you said you wanted to have sex with him and shit like that, cool, right? Cool. If you felt like, well, with this particular man, I'm consistent across the board that I'm not having sex with anyone right now, and you're consistent with that, and then you move that particular way, that's understandable too. But when you split men up into these categories and then you deal with them in this particular way, you have to understand that if a man knows about it, if he learns about it, if he's aware that this is how you move, most men are not going to respect you. And it's not because of you enjoying yourself and living out your sexual desires. If you're having sex with him, but you're also having sex with other men up front, right? And then you end up turning into a relationship because you prefer him sexually and non-sexually, then from that basis, a man will typically not judge you for the men that you had sex with, especially if he's aware of it ahead of time, depending on a man's mindset, right? And also, if you're consistent with that across the board, it's cool. But the issue is when you create these compartmentalizations of a man and then expect a full relationship where all of these things are involved. You know, I believe that a man should risk being put into that fuckboy category by a woman. But also, I'm going to say this towards men, and this is some real shit you need to understand. If you play this role of not being upfront about your sexual intentions, you have to understand that this woman, you do not know this bitch, right? You don't know her. There is no guarantee that she moves in a righteous way. There's no guarantee that she's consistent with what she says her standards are across the board, right? Sometimes a woman will say no hookups simply so that she puts a barrier up. She'll have sex with men who disrespect that boundary and that barrier. And then the men who respect that boundary and that barrier will be men who she may be more willing to take seriously. But her taking you seriously means that she is going to denigrate and lower her sexual attraction and sexual submissiveness with you in order to establish a certain level of control in relationships. This does not mean that just because she got into a relationship with you, that she is not going to continue to have different ways of trying to manipulate you using female dating strategies down the line. She is leveraging sex to get what she wants from you. Do not trust a woman who leverages sex to get what she wants from you, because eventually it may be she did that for a relationship. She may do that when she wants to get more serious. She may do that when she wants to move in together. She may do that when she's ready for marriage. And you're setting yourself up to be manipulated by women. But if you decide that that's the role you want to go down, that sex is not that important to you, do not give a fuck if a woman is out here fucking other guys. Say, okay, cool, that's not important to me. If it's not important to you, let that be consistent across the board. You have to deal with people in a way to where you're satisfied enough with your interactions that you do not care what they do when you're not around until you've properly vetted the individual and you spent enough time with them in order to deal with them and know that you're satisfied with your dynamic. You're satisfied with your interactions. If you're not satisfied with your interactions, that's not the person you should deal with. So that means if you want sex and a woman's not ready for sex, sexual boundaries are dynamic. They're not static. So if a woman's not ready for sex when you are, that means you're probably not compatible. See, it would be different if when she said that, then they got together and then they fucked with each other, right? Or it'll be different if when he was ready to have sex, she was also ready because she was sexually attracted to him on that level. But if she has the ability and the wherewithal to say, well, I'm just going to fuck this guy, but this guy right here, I'm going to make him wait. You have to understand that no matter how she feels about it, in the mind of a man, that is still something that is duplicitous, that is still something that is disrespectful in his mind, and that's still something that is treating him as if he is lower value compared to the other guys. Women have to understand that if your idea of wanting to be treated as if you're high value is not to be seen sexually, then it doesn't make sense for you to be having sex with men who you view as low value because they are sexual. Because sex is part of a relationship, right? So I just want to expose this gentleman-gigolo complex. These are things that occur. I've been with several women who told other guys that they were celibate while we were having sex with each other. I've been with many women who had no hookups in their bios. Probably most of the women I had sex with on those online dating apps had no hookups in their bio. I've been with women who behaved in a variety of ways. And one thing I've learned is that sexual boundaries are dynamic. They're not static. If that's not something that's important to you, don't care what she does, right? But you don't want to put yourself in a position where you feel like a woman is high value or she's quality because she's not being sexual with you. Men, stop rewarding women for not being sexual with you. Stop rewarding women for having a mindset of not wanting to be sexually available to you. You're setting yourself up to be manipulated. You're setting yourself up to be taken advantage of. And you're setting yourself up to deal with women who leverage sex with men who they quote unquote like emotionally, but who they give it out willy-nilly to guys who they are not that interested in. This is Coach Brodie. Gentleman-Gigolo complex, my issue with female dating strategies,